Hi LaLa Land, welcome back to another beautiful day. Today I am honored and grateful to be welcoming yet another shapeshifter, Jennifer Bernard. Jennifer is the former president and CEO of Women's College Hospital Foundation and current president and CEO of SickKids Hospital Foundation. She was named Canada's top 100 most powerful women in 2020 and top 25 women of influence in 2018. Jennifer, we're so glad to have you here, so thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me to LaLa Land, Leah, and I'm so thrilled to be here.
Get into it.
Let's get into it.
So I first want to start off by asking you, what does it mean and what value does it hold for you to be the president and CEO of a children's hospital foundation?
Wow. Well, it's not just a value, it's a huge, huge responsibility.
Yes.
So I myself am a SickKids mom. My son was taken care of at SickKids when he was about 8 until he was about 14 because he had a cardiac condition. And so I take it as a responsibility not just for Toronto, we're in Toronto, but for kids all over the world. And so for me, it's making sure that this iconic institution that has saved so many lives over 150 years remains strong and allows kids wherever they live to thrive. So our vision is healthier children, a better world, and I take that really seriously. And so for me, the values that we need to have are that this hospital is indispensable to children, and children are 100% of the future. So we have to protect them.
I love that. I wanted to ask you, so that you were a SickKids mom once upon a time.
Yeah.
So does that make you feel like you have a stronger connection to some of the parents and some of the struggles that they may be going through?
I think so. SickKids is the kind of place, whether you have children, don't have children, live in Toronto, you've ever used it, most people feel a really strong affinity to protect children because they're innocent, they haven't done anything. But I have to tell you, once you walk through the doors of emergency, terrified, hoping somebody can help you with your child, that's a bond that you never break with the institution. So yes, you are right. I have a special bond with this institution that will outlast my time here, and that started long before I got here.
That's incredible and amazing. And you mentioned something interesting. You said that you had a really strong bond with this institution. And so I was wondering, what are the most important lessons that this institution has taught you?
Oh, wow, that's a fabulous question. Well, one is that you have to be courageous. Elizabeth McMaster started this hospital 150 years ago, and she was a young mom in her 20s with 2 kids, and she saw a problem and she decided to solve it. So she was super courageous at a time when women didn't have a lot of rights and nobody thought she could do it. So the founder taught us we have to be courageous. The other thing we found is that you have to stand up for those who have no voice. Children really don't have a big voice. You have to fight for them. They don't vote, they don't have money, they can't even get themselves here by themselves. So we have to stand up for people that don't have a voice. And the other thing that it's taught me is that the community can change the direction of a nation. Before SickKids was established back 150 years ago, 50% of the deaths in Toronto were children under 10. And because of this hospital and all the people that have invested in it, now we are number 2 in the whole world, and children have an incredible life expectancy here. So you have to be courageous and make sure that you invest in the things that will endure beyond your time, and that's what Elizabeth McMaster did. So I think courage is the value that it's taught me.
Courage is an amazing value to live off of on a daily, and you have a huge team here at SickKids.
I do. I'm very lucky. I'm very, very lucky.
How do you exemplify that courage, and how do you try to teach and lead the team to do their job with courage every day?
Wow. Well, I would say that, one thing is that we protect the mission, and that's our job, healthier children, a better world. We never forget who our boss is. So I always say, I'm not your boss. the kids across the street at the hospital are who you're working for. So making sure we really stay focused on the mission of the hospital, and that we're here to serve the hospital and make sure those kids can go home and have the best life possible. I tell them, be ambitious for our mission. You know, a lot of people think that people we arm twist people into giving. It's quite the opposite. Most people want to give. They want to do something that matters, that makes a difference, and they're just waiting for the right opportunity. I always say, give them that right opportunity, and that's how I try to inspire my team.
That's incredible. And you said something interesting. You talked about how you tell them that you're not their boss, the children across the street are their boss.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is how you motivate them.
Yeah, because most of my team could work anywhere they want. They are amazing. They are excellent in every way. And so they've very intentionally chosen to work in the not-for-profit world and had the privilege, quite honestly, to work for SickKids. But we can never get confused as to why we are here. We are not here to make anybody richer. We're not here to add value to, you know, a bottom line of a company. We're here to make sure that we have the impact that the hospital needs so that they can do the work that they need to do. So we need to raise money, we need to raise awareness, we need to support the hospital. And so my job is to make sure that my team is always thinking about that.
I love that. I find it so inspiring that you're able to lead such a big team with so much grace and so much passion. As a female CEO, what's that been like for you? What lessons have you learned along the way?
Well, I think it goes back to courage as well. I've always had to be courageous because almost every place I've ever gone, I've been the first woman, or I've been the first woman of color, or I've been the first Black person, and I've never let that hold me back. I've always thought somebody has to be first, and you know, my ancestors did so much to make it possible for me to be here. I have to be courageous. So that's one of the things. Some of the other things that I think about is that, you know, although I have the responsibility of doing the best possible job that I can, I'm a human being as well. And I have to make sure my team feels like they are human beings and we're not just driving relentlessly towards a financial target. We're driving relentlessly towards making the world a better place for children. And financial targets are part of that, but we are human beings first. So I really try to instill in my team that everything they do matters, not just raising the money. How we make our donors feel, how we communicate, how we treat each other is so important. And making sure that people can, you know, show up as themselves and be whole human beings at work, have good days and not so good days, you know, do incredibly well and sometimes fail and learn. All those things are part of the experience of working here at SickKids.
What were some of the biggest struggles that you have faced that have taught you huge lessons that you carry on until today and just have made it so much easier for you to face those struggles and challenges now?
Well, I think, you know, the biggest thing is to actually believe in yourself and also forgive yourself. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to make every decision that's absolutely right. And sometimes you're going to be extraordinary. And you have to sort of pick that middle ground. It's sort of the Goldilocks rule. Don't get too high, don't get too low. Kind of stay in the middle. So I celebrate when something goes incredibly well, but I try not to over-index on that. And when something goes terribly wrong, I try not to have that inner voice that tells me, that's who you are. Everything's going to go wrong from now on. I think your inner dialogue is so important, and that's what's, you know, in the big lessons I've learned where I've had an event and it's flopped and you think, oh my gosh, I flopped publicly, what can I learn from that? And not take it too seriously. As I tell young people, everything is temporary. Everything good is temporary and everything bad is temporary. I've had an event that I thought was going to be amazing and nobody showed up, and I've had things that I thought was going to flop and, you know, was overwhelmingly good. But as I said, I really try to stay in the middle and not index too high or too low on either end of those scales. One of the things you always have to do, and I think you know this, is have a really good circle of friends. And when I have failed the most is when I have failed to engage those people that can help me and try to do it all by myself. And that's a really important lesson. You need support, you need help, you need mentors, you need people that tell you the truth when you're out too far, and you need people that say go when you're afraid.
I love this. Okay, so I think this is so important because for so many of our viewers that are young and in high school and are just starting to learn about these different struggles and going on and taking on new things, and then you fail and you're back down where you thought you started, and it's really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed how you talked about building a good group of support.
Yeah.
Because it's really in those like hard, dark times that like the people that you love and you're closest to, you want them to show up for you, and they're the ones that lift you up and inspire you.
You're so right. And I call them like your own personal board of directors, and everybody should have that. And it's so important to surround yourself with people that uplift you but also tell you the truth, and that people that will be with you not just when you're succeeding, but most importantly when you're not.
And how do you build that team?
Well, I think that you need to really look at, when you're a runner, you never run with people that are running the same pace as you. You always try to run with people that are ahead of you so you can catch up. So look around your circle. It's not necessarily always somebody that's in a position higher than you. It's the people that are doing things the way you would like to do them, or are courageous in a way you're not, or stretching themselves the way you're not. The people that stay in your head, that tell you the truth, that you're like, I know they're telling me the truth, I hate it, that's somebody that should be in your circle, because they will tell you the truth in good times or bad. So you really have to get a little uncomfortable and say, who makes me uncomfortable, who makes me inspired, who makes me feel safe, and look for those different dimensions in the people that you want around you, but they should all be maybe a little ahead of you in that dimension that you want them to show up for you in. And that's how you choose your board of directors.
I think I love the fact that you talked about how it's good to be uncomfortable.
It is.
It's so easy for us to just stay in our comfort zone every day and just, hang out with the same people that, maybe aren't bringing out the best side in us,
right,
or just doing what's comfortable for us and not challenging ourselves because we're afraid of messing up.
Yeah.
And so being uncomfortable and being around people that are better than you and challenge you in different ways is so inspiring. It's
so important.
It uplifts you every day.
And it does. And I think that the more you do that, the more you challenge yourself, the more you actually like yourself. You should like yourself when you're with the people that are in your inner circle. You shouldn't be pretending. You shouldn't have a facade. You should actually like who you are, and that's when you know you're with the right people.
I have one last question for you, and that is, what does success look like to you?
It's exactly that. It's getting up every morning as I do and liking who I am and how I'm conducting myself and moving through the world. It's liking the people around me. It's feeling challenged. It's feeling overwhelmed sometimes, but in service of something important that's worth feeling overwhelmed. A life without tension is a life without growth, right? So to make a diamond from coal, it needs tons of pressure. It's not bad pressure, but it has to have pressure. So I don't want to have a life that feels effortless. I want a life that feels like I'm pushing up against something that's making me grow, and I'm proud of who I am during that journey.
I was actually just having a conversation with a friend about this the other day, because I find it so interesting, because it's so easy for us to just get upset and complain about things that are going on in our lives, and take for granted the fact that it's okay to be overwhelmed sometimes. It's okay to be stressed sometimes.
Of course.
That's a part of life. And I think also just asking yourself, like, is this something that I enjoy? Mm-hmm. Is this something that I feel like is worth being overwhelmed over? And if it is, like, go, like, enjoy
Lean into
it.
Lean into it, because you will come out the other side. When you ask yourself, why am I doing this? If you have a good reason that's aligned with your values that you talked about at the beginning, it'll be okay. If you're doing it and it's not aligned with your values, that's when it feels overwhelming and stressful in a really negative way.
I want to thank you so much for everything that you've shared today.
Thank you.
You've been such an inspiration, and it's taught me so much, and I'm reflecting as we sit here, because I'm just like, this was such incredible information.
Thank you.
And LaLa Land, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to see you again soon. Bye.